All right, what's up, internet world? Um, Back again for episode number 3. Like I said, I'm enthusiastic and fired up to get this channel started. So just keeping it rolling. Episode 1 and 2 just recorded, just published. So hope you enjoy those. Episode number 3, my topic is going to be my Mount Rushmore of people, my Mount Rushmore of current living people out there who are spreading information. And I think a Mount Rushmore should probably have 4 people, but I really narrowed it down to 3 people who, at different periods of my life, I really kind of followed the ideas that they were putting out there. I would like to think I put into practice some of the things that they teach or advocate for. And I just happen to think they're cool and they have good ideas or good attitude about their specific industry or perspective of life, and the topics that they cover. So here they are, and kind of actually in a bit of an order. So the number one person on my list, have to give a big huge shout out to Dave Ramsey. So Dave Ramsey, most of you or the if just mom is watching, then of course you know exactly who I'm talking about, and probably anyone who would stumble across this video um, would know who I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't, he's a personal finance guy. He was he's out over in Tennessee and had been in the real estate industry when he was young. um, went broke, kind of over leveraged himself, and then kind of um, made a choice that he wasn't going to use debt to build wealth, and also became a radio personality as well as kind of educating people in personal finances, and has since written many books on the subject, and again kind of exists to his main thing is getting people out of debt. So just these really basic common sense money principles on how to handle your finances and how to how to get out of debt, how to manage your finances, and then how to eventually build wealth. So Dave, he was a guy that my mom followed his plan to get out of debt right around the time I was graduating from high school, and so um, I listened to his podcast for years. When I was going through school and then first entering the workforce. So he had definitely just a big influence on the way that I view work and money and relationships, honestly. So I'll probably be talking about him a lot over the years as I remember different ideas that he's put out there. So that's number one on my Mount Rushmore. Number two is Jocko Willink. So again, most people, I would think, are probably pretty familiar with Jocko, but he's a former leader in the military, and got out. I guess I'm not actually too sure, but I want to think around 2010 or something like that. He got out of a career. He retired from a career in special operations in the Navy, leading men into combat, and as well as training men for combat. I think that's what makes him really unique in that space. Uh, of course, there's a lot of really awesome people that kind of come out of the special operations community and then into the civilian world and have something to teach us. But what I think is really unique and interesting about Jocko is not only did he lead men into combat, all these things, is that when he came back, he spent some time in the training department of the Navy SEALs, and the way he puts it, which is super interesting, is it was kind of like a lab for leadership and teamwork and combat. He would run all these units through his training program and get to be in a detached perspective and see, hey, what are best practices, what are common mistakes, and he kind of consolidated these leadership principles that him and his men had learned in combat and in training, and when he retired, brought them into the business world. And obviously he's been a huge success, but I feel a special connection to him because when he first hit the scene, back in maybe it was 2015 or something like that. I had been, listening to Joe Rogan and Tim Ferriss podcasts at that time, and he came on and did an episode with both of them. And I remember listening to the Tim Ferriss one, which is the first podcast I believe that he was on, and immediately going, this guy's the man, like I can't get enough of this guy. And so when he started his own podcast, I was locked in from episode number 1, and for years just listened to it like a religion. And I've read a handful of his books. And so again, where Dave Ramsey holds a special place in my brain and heart when it comes to personal finance, Jocko, I think, has kind of shown me the way in a lot of the realm of leadership and teamwork and things like that. So that's number 2. And then number 3, a gentleman by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk makes it onto my Mount Rushmore. So he's a businessman who kind of, I guess, you can find his autobiography, him talking about his own story on all of his channels. He graduated from college and helped build his parents' wine store on the internet, made it into a massive success, and then after running that, for a decade and proving kind of the marketing opportunities that the internet provided to this wine store, he realized that could be used in a bunch of other industries. And it sounds like he made some good early investments in Facebook and Twitter or something along those lines. So it gave him the freedom to step away from the wine business and then start his own firm and a marketing agency. And, so for the last decade, he's just been crushing that. And so it was more recently now that I've been in, kind of in the business world and trying to run and start our own small business, that I caught wind of him and listened to a bunch of his stuff and follow the kind of the words that he puts out there. And he's someone that I often will recommend to young guys that I meet when we're interviewing candidates to bring onto our team, or just any young, ambitious people. I turn them on to Gary Vee because I feel like he's kind of really putting out a good word around, about being young and ambitious and having a drive, but also having patience and putting things in perspective of decades as opposed to, wanting fast results. So, and I think he's one of those guys who talks the talk and walks the walk. He's an actual legit businessman out there, but he also is putting his information out there for public consumption. So there you have it. There's my Mount Rushmore of 3 individuals that I really respect and have followed their ideas and tried to put them into practice. And definitely hope to meet each and every one of those guys one of these days. Dave Ramsey, Jocko Willink, and Gary Vaynerchuk. So anyhow, I hope you guys all got something out of this. And if you hadn't heard of any of those folks, definitely find them and hear what they have to say, because I know they've had a positive impact on my brain. So anyhow, that's all for episode number 3. I will catch you guys later. Thanks.